G'day, welcome to my new channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Australia and China, all the latest developments and what my thoughts are regarding the latest situations and everything that's going on. So Australia, what can I say about Australia? Australia is a land of wonder, the land down under. G'day mate, g'day sport. How about shrimp on the barbie? Sorry about that, that was my fake Australian accent. I'm not going to do that again, so I'm just going to continue. Anyway, what do we know about Australia and China and what's going on, and why have I got this article on my screen? China is not a cow. So I saw this article a few weeks ago, I believe. His name is Wang Jining, and he's the deputy head of the Chinese embassy in Canberra. And the reason he said China is not a cow is because of this. China is not a cow. I don't think anyone should fancy the idea to milk China when she's in her prime and plot to slaughter her in the end. So I'm going to come back to this article really, but I'm going to start off by discussing what's happened with the trade war, why it started, and where we are at this moment. So latest news is, Australia's cancelled the BRI project of China, which China's not very happy about. But my thoughts are, having the BRI project is basically China investing in projects in Australia, and that would only benefit Australia really. So Australia cancelling the BRI project is just being very petty, but you can expect these things because things are not going very well at the moment between the two countries, and they are gradually escalating things day by day. I've also seen this article where basically Australia has given a massive military defence boost. This was today, I believe, and the Defence Force in the Northern Territory has received a hefty $747 million. Scott Morrison is said to announce a huge funding boost on Wednesday. I mean, come on mate, $747 million compared to over $280 billion that Chinese spend on military. I mean, how you can't really compare really, so it's kind of ridiculous. It's just a drop in the ocean, to be honest. Okay, so what caused this trade war? Why did it first start? So things have been escalating between the two countries over the years, and as you know, Australia is China's biggest trade partner, and China is the main reason Australia got out of the recession very quickly. Australia has got a huge amount of natural resources, and China is a huge manufacturing hub, and they need resources. So Australia's got resources, but Australia's got iron ore, coal, it's got a huge number of barley, it's got a huge number of stuff that China needs. So China has been buying a lot of stuff from Australia over the years, and Australia has become very rich from it. China has also invested a lot in Australia. And also China has been sending a lot of students to Australia, and these students have been spending a lot of money, in designer gear and in Australia's economy. So things have been going, very well until recently. So what's changed? So I'll tell you what's changed. Okay, so the three major things that caused a huge rift in the relations. Number one, basically, Australia kicked out Huawei, and it was one of the first countries to do so because of security concerns, and it's something that Trump had obviously instigated. But Australia listened, and not only did Australia kick out Huawei, but they also were campaigning for other countries to kick Huawei out as well. I mean, you can see from this article, Australia's decision to exclude Huawei from its 5G rollout is one thing, lobbying others to follow suit is another. So yeah, you can understand a country cancelling 5G because they have security concerns. Yeah, that's fine. Keep it to yourself. But if you're going to start lobbying other countries to follow as well, then there are intentions there, and bad intentions. So the second thing that's happened is Australia started asking people for an investigation in the coronavirus in China. This was when there was an investigation already going on by WHO, and Australia were just, they were just pissing off the Chinese really. And the other thing that they were doing, they kept meddling in China's affairs, like Taiwan, Hong Kong, all the red lines for China. Australia kept hitting them really. So this is why we go back to this article, and this is why he says China is not a cow. I don't think anyone should fancy the idea to milk China for when she's in her prime, and to plot to slaughter her in the end. So what he's trying to say is Australia has been making a lot of money from China, in various different ways, and here they are milking China for for all the money, but in the end they were just waiting to slaughter them, because all they're doing is colliding with America and going behind China's back and backstabbing them really. So that's what he's trying to say. So I want to talk about the actual trade war and what it's actually causing, and what's happening with it really. So this is a map of a graph, sorry, of what's causing who's been affected and what's been affected. So you can see the main things that are kind of affected is the travel, and you can see $16.3 billion dollars worth of goods are basically spent in the Australian economy by Chinese. So that's lost as well, because since the coronavirus, all the Chinese have gone home, and the Chinese are not visiting Australia anymore, so they're losing a huge amount there. They've blocked coal, and as you know, China is trying to come down on its coal usage. So first thing they've done is blocked Australian coal. So so China will try and focus on their own coal really, and try and reduce that. Education, the universities, all the students stopped coming to Australia, so that's affected hugely. Other things like beef, wine, cotton, barley. There's other things in this list which is not there. Things like fish, lobsters. So it's affecting a lot. It's affecting a lot of the Australian economy. But one thing that it has not affected is iron ore. And iron ore is the biggest commodity Australia has, and it's the biggest seller in China. And the reason China needs iron ore is for its construction and everything that they're doing really, with all the infrastructure stuff that China's doing. So iron ore, actually, with all the costs that Australia are losing, iron ore costs have actually gone up last few years, and because of that, Australia has not seen much of a big difference in the deficit, because all the money that they've been losing, they're actually gaining with selling iron ore at a higher price. So what's China doing about it, and what's Australia doing about it? So first of all, these figures Australia is not going to get back, because let me tell you something, they can diversify some of these stuff, but they can't diversify everything. They can't get Chinese students to come back and spend all the money, and Chinese people to come investments in the country. Coal, coal usage is going down all over the world. So I mean, they could actually sell it to other developing countries, but not as much as China. As China is a huge market. So what's China doing really about the iron ore? Well, they are diversifying it, and you can see from some of these articles what they found some high quality deposits in Papua New Guinea, in other parts of Australia, and more recently they found they found a huge iron ore deposit in Albania, and this is actually really good, because in Albania they're actually fast tracking this iron ore stuff from Albania, and they're fast tracking it, and with the high price, it is worth it. And I think some of these some of these things. Sorry, hang on. Yeah, some Chinese mineral investment projects were already on the ground as early as 2013, but soaring iron ore prices meant these resources in reserves can now be tapped. So basically, they are fast tracking a lot of these iron ore deposits all over Africa, Albania, Algeria, and other Papua New Guinea. So these are being fast tracked, and yeah, it is costing China a lot of money in the short term with these investments, but in the long term, they're going to gain by diversifying their iron ore, because they can't really rely on one country, because iron ore is a huge part of China's economy, so they need it. So by diversifying it and buying it from countries who are friendly with China, it will just benefit China in the long term. So I want to kind of talk about I want to give you my thoughts, really. So my thoughts is, from all the rhetoric and everything that I've seen so far, Australia has started it. I mean, the relationship has been pretty fine until the coronavirus started, and until Trump started giving his anti-China rhetoric, and Australia being the lapdog of America as it is, Australia basically listens to whatever Trump says, listens to whatever Australia says. Australia has been in every single war America has. They are like the little lapdog, that follows America everywhere. So since Trump started bashing China in his China virus and anti-China rhetoric during his term, Australia had followed suit as well. So first thing they did was kick out Huawei. They started talking about doing investigations for the coronavirus. They started talking about the red lines of China, like Taiwan, Hong Kong issues, and China did not start this. Australia started it, and things just got worse and worse from there, really. And I want to kind of show you something that not many people know about. Is 2021 is the year of the ox, and it's a symbol of strength. So this year, if you notice, China is showing a lot of strength. They're showing a lot of strength against America, other countries who are kind of giving them a lot of pressure, like Australia, UK, and China has to show strength, because this is the year of the ox. But they also need to show strength, that they're not the same China 100 years ago where they were pushed around. This is a new modern China, and people need to respect them, and people aren't respecting them from what I can see. But people do need to respect them, because they're a huge economy, a huge military power, and by 2030 they will become the top economy of the world. So what are my thoughts? I mean, Australia is going to be the clear loser, really. So with all the stuff that China is banning from Australia, and by the time over the next year or two, by the time China gets alternatives for iron ore, you'll see Australia's economy going down, and it will go down by quite a lot without all of these Chinese investments and money, and things will never be the same between the two countries. And And I can see Australia struggling really, and Australia only got out of recession because of China, and by pissing off China, they just pushing themselves to go back into recession really. China can easily diversify their stuff, you know. I mean, Australia needs China more than China needs Australia. All the stuff that China is getting from Australia, apart from iron ore, everything else can be diversified, and even now iron ore is being diversified from China. So eventually, within a year or two, China would be in a much better place, but within a year or two, Australia would not, you know. I mean, who else is going to buy the amount of iron ore that China buys? I mean, there's no other country on earth, you know, doing as much infrastructure stuff as much as China. So no country on earth would buy that much iron ore from Australia. Australia can try and diversify the iron ore, but nobody else is doing much work as much as China is doing. So that's all I wanted to say about issues really. So let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Cheers.